Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I wanted to discuss one of my favorite ways that Seiko reimagined their original 62 mass diver, and that's with this watch in front of me. This is the reference number SPB053, the J1 version. And over the past few years, I think Seiko tried to do some reissues of the 62 mass. One of their first attempts was with the SLA017, which had a dial design that mirrored the 62 mass very well, but it had a very limited production and the price tag was over 4,000 US dollars. And then I believe it was around 2018 that they've done a couple of different reissues, including this guy here, and this is by far my favorite out of all of the 62 mass reimagined watches. And that's mainly due to the dial design, the colorway, and the dimensions of this watch. So let's get into the dimensions. This is a sub 44 millimeter Seiko diver. So from this end to this end here, I measure at 42.9 millimeters in case diameter. Now if you flip it over to the side, you can see the gorgeous curvaceous nature of that case, and lug to lug between my thumbs is 49.5 millimeters. Case thickness is 13.9 millimeters to a slightly domed sapphire. Yes, sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective application on the underside. And then the lug gap here for the bracelet or the silicone rubber strap is a universal 20 millimeters. So it will please a large number of different wrist sizes. Now I would like to briefly touch on the Seiko silicone strap that it came with as well. Very nice etched in Seiko logo on the Seiko strap minder. You have a tsunami wave here. This strap is extremely supple and the buckle is nicely oversized as well. So no issues with the rubber here whatsoever, and you can purchase this watch with just the rubber strap. But for me, it's a winning combination on this OEM bracelet, which we'll talk a little bit more about in detail in a bit. Now blue is my favorite color, and I fell in love with this blue cobalt sunburst dial. And the bezel is done nice too. It's not perfectly color matched. The bezel insert looks more like a turquoise or teal in color. Now for the hand stack, you have a very short but very pronounced arrowhead on the hour hand, and then the minute hand is a nice broadsword style hand in nature. I like that they went with the elongated needle second hand that sweeps really nicely across the dial with the counterpoint lollipop. And I really love the way they finished and applied the indices as well. You can see they kind of went with single batons at the 6 and 9, and then a double baton at the 12 to 8 in orientation. The remaining indices are more truncated, slimmer batons. And then you do have a nice cutout for the date aperture that's bordered at the 3 o'clock position. Now each of the indices have a nice silver surround, and they're deep filled with Seiko's LumiBrite, which I find you're typically always going to get a great result with. But for me, just the even application and intensity on this particular watch does stand out as one of the better Seiko divers with lume that I've ever had. And you can see that there is a chapter ring there bordering the dial. The alignment for that is good. The only minor misalignment issue that I've had with this watch is with respect to the bezel, which again, I'm not sure what the material that this insert is made of. I don't know that it's aluminum, and it's too reflective really to be ceramic, but it is beautiful, but it's not perfectly aligned. I'm actually in between clicks here. If I move this back on the unidirectional bezel, you can see it's slightly shifted to the right. But the action on the bezel is quite good. The coin edge bezel has great grip, and you got that Seiko buttery smooth action with a very satisfying detent, so you always know exactly where it lines up. But again, I'm kind of in between clicks here just to get it to align properly at the 12. Now powering this watch is the Seiko 6R15 automatic movement, which is their 21,600 vibration per hour beat rate. This one has a 50-hour power reserve as well as hacking and hand wind. So if you unscrew the screw down crown here, You can manually wind the movement in the open position. Pulling it out one click is your quick date set function. Pulling it all the way out is hacking, so you can quickly set this to any reference time you like. And then rethreading the crown is very easy to do. I like that the crown is oversized with no crown guards, and it's right at the 3 o'clock. It's not shifted towards the 4, which sometimes I found isn't as easy to operate. Now, as far as case finishing goes, Seiko did a really good job with this watch. I mean, again, you can just see, looking at the side here, how well they just curved and turned down those lugs. There are drilled lug openings here for quick bracelet or strap changes. And then nice transitions on the case, and you have nice polished bezels here too. So the case flank itself, multi-layered and finished to a very high standard. It's a shame that they decided not to go with a sign crown here. I think the crown is easily large enough to warrant one. And then very nice, almost radial brushes to the tops of the lugs here. And you have differential brushing on the bracelet itself. Now, I'm not normally a fan of Seiko bracelets because I find them a little jingly, and typically their clasps aren't great. This one, though, it's very well built. There's hardly any wiggle here. Solid end links, nice differential brushing on the center link, and then you can see that there's a nice polished transition at the end of the center link, and you have other brush finishes on the outskirts of the links. Flipping to the side, the links are done in high polish, and each link is fixed in with a pin and collar system, which is very secure. So there is a collar in the center link here, so if you tap out one of the pins to size it, just make sure you don't lose that center link. But resizing it is done quite easily, and there's also multiple layers of adjustment on the clasp, 4 micro adjustment holes. Again, nice polished bevel on the clasp. You have a twin trigger release as well as a fold over security that is signed Seiko. And then opening this up, very nicely milled out portion to the swing arms here, which you don't always see on a Seiko Prospex diver. And on the underside here, there is a folded over dive suit extension if you need to use it. And then here's a quick look at the case back. So because this is an ISO certified diver, it can say divers 200 meters. You do have the Seiko Great Tsunami Wave in the center there. And the case back is screwed down, aiding in that 200 meters of water resistance. Now here's how the Seiko SPB053 looks on my 19 centimeter circumference wrist, or about 7.5 inches. And you can see, just because the case just curves and conforms to your wrist so well, I find it extremely comfortable, but it still gives you a bit of wrist presence overall. So are there any minor improvements that they can make for this watch? I mean, there is no such thing as the perfect watch, but with this one, it's very hard to come up with too much to say that's negative. I mean, I did highlight one that stood out right away, and that is with the bezel alignment. I do wish that Seiko just did a better job QCing the alignment of the bezel and chapter rings in general. But unfortunately, that has become the norm for many Seiko divers, even when you get closer to their top tier Prospex models. And then I guess the only other minor gripe I can really think of is I do wish that they actually assigned the crown with either the Prospex symbol or with the Seiko S. And then lastly, let's talk about pricing. I think when these were first released, they sold very well, and they were kind of expensive, but with a quick Google search, I find these watches fluctuating anywhere between $600 and $700 US, but if you do your research or get it slightly secondhand, you can actually probably pick it up for under $600 US, which is a steal for that price. But as always, guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. And hey, if you enjoy this content, why don't you smash that subscription button? It really helps me out. Thanks again, guys, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.